Hey there everybody, Travis Bowman here. I'm a fingerstyle guitar player and retro video game nerd, here to give you a guide on how to buy and sell on the Facebook Marketplace. Of course, this doesn't just apply to that platform. You can use this for Craigslist and all sorts of different stuff like that. The reason I'm making this video is because I myself have been frustrated with recent transactions in the past, both as a seller and a buyer. So this is how I would love these transactions to go in a perfect world. I believe I'm pretty qualified to make this video because I've been buying and selling on the Facebook Marketplace since it became a thing. And I've accrued a pretty good sized video game collection as well as some guitars in the past too. I've sold and bought several guitars on Facebook Marketplace, and it's a great place to get some really cool stuff for not a bad price at all. And it's also a great place to sell some stuff to make some good money. Let's go into the unwritten rules of the Facebook Marketplace, what everybody should know automatically. So, first things first. Rule number 1, the seller is the most important person in this transaction. Like it or not, it's the truth. If the seller didn't have the item in question, then we wouldn't be here. It's actually really simple. The seller should be the person to determine what's going on. Hey, I've got this item right here. Let's call it a controller. I've got this controller for sale. I'll post some pictures of it, and I'll let you know where I'm comfortable meeting you to pay for this. Let's say I want $50 for this. Okay? That's totally fine. But I, as the seller, have the right to choose where we meet. And that's where things get a little screwy because sometimes the seller wants to meet in a really sketchy place, in which case you should just go ahead and cut your losses. If you're not comfortable doing it, then don't do it. Of course, you can ask the seller, hey, are you comfortable meeting at, a police station, somewhere public, where you won't get into any trouble, where you feel safer? That's totally a doable thing. You can ask the seller that. And if the seller is a good person and a good seller, then they will probably oblige you there. But what I mean is if you are a buyer, you're trying to purchase an item, one thing you should never do is try to get the seller to deliver said item to you. Hey, can you bring this to me? I'm an hour away from you, Most sellers aren't interested in that unless it's a larger item like furniture or something like that, and they offer to deliver it to you for an extra fee. But for something small, like this, just go get it. Just get in your vehicle and go get it. And if you don't have a vehicle, try to get a buddy to help you out and take you to that place. The seller is by far the most important person in this transaction, and therefore you should show them the proper respect if you want this transaction to go smoothly. Rule number 2, and a lot of people really don't like this one at all, but haggle respectfully. If you do not haggle respectfully, then there becomes a problem. The seller will get irritated with you for trying to lowball them on an item. So what does it mean to haggle respectfully? I personally love haggling. It's the reason that I've gotten so much cool stuff at a really good price. You never know how low people are willing to go unless you actually ask them. So what does it mean to haggle respectfully? My go-to message when I'm on Facebook Marketplace and I see something that I would like, but it's probably a little bit too out of my price range, or quite frankly, a little too high in general. This item usually sells, brand new for a little bit less than what they're asking. In which case, you should probably move on and go ahead and buy the new version of that item if it's a lot less money. But you never know. It's on a case-by-case basis. What you should do is say something like this. Send them a message and ask them, what's your bottom dollar on this? I've used this line for 10 years now, and for the most part, it works every single time. It's a direct approach to ask them how little they would be comfortable taking for the item that they're trying to sell. It cuts right to the chase. It's as simple as, hey, I want to buy this. What's the lowest you'll go on it? And oftentimes you'd be very surprised how much lower people will go on their asking price. You just kind of have to ask. But as long as you do it respectfully, it should be fine. What you don't want to do is the first message you send this person, if they're asking $100 for the item, the first thing you do, send them, I've had this happen to me before, by the way, send them just one message that says $40. That's not good. Don't do that. That will annoy the person that's trying to sell this item. You have to remember that they're trying to move it. They're trying to get money for it. They don't want it anymore. They want it to be in your hands. It's up to you, though, to be extremely respectful in the way that you approach that. Hey, I want to buy this from you. But how can we make that happen where both of us are happy? What's your bottom dollar? What's the least amount of money you'd be comfortable taking for this? And you'd be surprised how well a transaction will go if you just start it off right there. Because on Facebook Marketplace, the main thing that happens is you'll get a message that says, is this available? That's the default message. I cut that out completely because as a buyer, I want to show the seller that I'm ready to give them money for this thing. I want to get this thing done. I want to make this as smooth as I possibly can, so I don't even send the default message. That's my first message. And I'll make it very personal, and I'll say, hey, I'll say, like, if it's a man, I say, hey, man, or hey, miss, if it's a woman, what is your bottom dollar on this? Just cut right to the chase. Okay, so rule number 3 is keep it strictly professional. And this is another big one that a lot of people have a surprisingly amount of trouble with, keeping these messages very professional. My name is Travis. That's all you really need to know about me. If you're going to buy something from me on Facebook Marketplace, you can check my ratings. I have a decent 5-star rating for previous transactions. You need to know that I'm a real person. I've been on Facebook for however long, as long as it doesn't say, 2024, which is the current year that we're in, you should be fine. I've been on Facebook since, 2013 or something like that. I have a history on this platform, and my name is Travis. That's all you really need to know about me. You can tell that I'm a real person and that I have something for sale. What people really struggle with on Facebook Marketplace in particular is they want to tell you about their personal lives and why you should give them the item that you're selling either for a lot less money or free. That's bad. Don't do that. That's nasty. Let's not do that, please. Around Christmas time, which is, the time of year right now, it's a few days before Christmas in 2024, when you have electronics for sale, particularly stuff that kids tend to enjoy, like a Steam Deck, PlayStation 5, what have you, controllers, any type of video game stuff, the moms and the dads and the grandparents come out looking for something particularly for their child at the last minute for Christmas. And those people, not all of them, but some of them are very, very bad about trying to involve their personal life and their relationship with these children with you, which is none of your business. And that's really lovely to deal with, especially when you get the mom that says, hey, this would really help my Christmas out if you could go less. I had this happen very recently, actually. So bottom line, just keep it professional. Do not involve your personal life in this transaction with this person that you will quite frankly only meet one time in your entire life. Keep it very professional and the transaction should go very smoothly. Number 4, this is kind of an extension of number 3. Treat the other person like a person. That's super important. And this goes for the buyer and the seller. This person is trying to give you money, or this person is trying to sell you something cool that you want. There's another person on the other end of these messages, and that's an extremely important thing that a lot of people just straight up do not think about. What I cannot stand as a seller, I sell a lot of things on the Facebook Marketplace. The person that, like I said before, I'll have it up for $100 and they'll just message me one time and all it will say, well, 40. Just 40. Not hi, hello, it's just 40. No, I'm not going to respond to that. Of course not. By no means am I going to respond to that. That just gives weird vibes, man, and you should never interact with somebody that gives you weird vibes. If they will not take the time to type a sentence out to you, then it's probably not a good idea for you to engage in a transaction with this person. If they cannot form a sentence based on an item that they want, going from $100 down to 40, that's a big jump. And I know this is on an item per item basis, and it all depends on what you're trying to sell, what it's worth, and all that good stuff. Take the time to type out a sentence if you're trying to buy something. Show them that you are a real human being and not a bot, because that is a thing that happens. Sometimes you will have bots that will message people and try to trick people into doing a transaction, and that's not good. Which leads me to number 5, which is safety is priority for both of you. Know who you are talking to. Do a little bit of snooping. Get onto the Facebook Marketplace, and if you see something for sale and you start interacting with that person, it takes you 2 seconds to go check out their profile and make sure that they're a legit human being. And that's easier said than done sometimes. A good indicator that shows that you're not speaking with a legitimate, real human being is when they joined Facebook. You can see that on their profile. If the year is 2024 and you were on there and you see their profile was created in 2024, I'd say there's a 95% chance that this person is not a real human being. And if that's the case, it's not worth it. No matter what you were trying to buy on Facebook Marketplace is going to be worth that trouble. And I've done some really shady transactions before, and I've almost gotten scammed myself. Don't ever send somebody money to hold something for you either. That's a really, really big mistake. You don't know this person. If they ask for a down payment or a payment to hold the item because, oh, I've got so many other people that are trying to buy this for me, I'll hold it for you if you give me money. Never do that. That is a dumb thing to do. You were getting scammed at that point. Never, ever, ever send somebody money unless there is a middleman like PayPal, goods and services, to watch your back. You never just want to cold send somebody money like that. That's a stupid thing to do, and a lot of people get scammed that way. Please do not be one of those people. Here's a couple of tips from me to you and my experience selling and buying things on the Facebook Marketplace. Okay, the first tip, you should treat every transaction as if it's a lucky chance, because oftentimes that is the case. You happened to stumble upon this item, and that's lucky. If it's something for a really good price, congratulations, my friend, you found a good deal. If you're ready to send a message to this person to go pick up this item, you need to be ready to go get it right then. Think about the seller and in the seller's point of view. They just want to get rid of it. They want some cash for this item. You need to be ready to go get it, because the last thing that you want to do is have this person tied up in a bunch of messages saying, okay, yeah, I would like to get it, but I can't get it until tomorrow. Is that okay? And then you've got other people messaging this person saying, hey, I can come get this stuff right now. Who do you think the seller's going to go with? The quickest and easiest way to get the item out of their possession and the money into their pocket. And just because you're first does not mean that you're going to be priority. In fact, a lot of people get very upset when they say, yes, I can meet you on Saturday. And then somebody on Friday is like, hey, I can come get this stuff right now. It's a shame. It is a shame, and I know that it's not easy to work it out because people have very busy lives and jobs and kids and stuff like that. So it's not as easy as just dropping whatever you're doing to go and pick up this item. So my advice to you is, unless you have free time, you don't need to be on the Facebook Marketplace. Do not get onto the Facebook Marketplace unless you have some free time, because you're just going to give yourself a little bit of heartbreak if you are in a position to where you cannot leave to go pick up this item. Even though it's a good deal and even though you really want it, odds are the more time that passes, the less likely you are to be able to go get that item, and somebody else is going to come take your place. And it happens. It definitely happens. But just be careful and be reasonable with your expectations. Be around. If you're on the Facebook Marketplace, be able to go and get it. And that's as simple as that. People often don't do any research on the things that they are trying to sell. It seems like there's a spectrum. You have one end and the other end, both extremes, and you never really find stuff in the middle. Do your research, please. For the love of God. Both buying and selling, do your research. This is a Super Nintendo controller that I have modified using a kit from a company called 8-Bit Do. If I was going to sell this controller, I would have to factor in the cost of the controller and the cost of the modification that's inside of this controller. It's actually pretty cool, by the way. I can use this on my Super Nintendo, and there are other ways by using the correct dongle to plug that guy in to a PC, a personal computer. I can use this controller on my computer, and I can also use it on a real Super Nintendo, which is nice. If I was going to sell this, the last thing I should do is just put it up there with no description of what it is. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen a listing on the Facebook Marketplace. That's exactly what it is. It's a very cruddy picture, low quality picture, and you have no freaking idea what this thing is. And a lot of times, those items just end up taking up space on the marketplace, and nobody even buys it, and it just sits there forever. If you want an item to move, be very, very descriptive about what you're selling, including your bottom dollar. And there's a pro tip right there. If you do not want to take any less than your asking price, let people know that. If you want people to give you an offer, then say OBO, or best offer. And that's a pro tip right there, my friend. Let's say I want to sell this, and this is not a good example for this, but let's just say I want to sell this for, you know, 80 bucks. Let's pretend that this is worth 100. I want to sell it for 80 bucks. I'd be comfortable with 80 bucks. I don't want to sell it for 60. Definitely don't want to sell it for 40. I'd be cool with selling this for 80 bucks, but it's worth $100. So what do? You make a listing on the Facebook Marketplace for $100 for this guy. And then in the description, you say, or best offer. And that is a super pro high IQ move right there, my friends. Because people like me, who love to haggle and get things for a good price, or at least feel like they got things for a good price, will see that listing and see OBO, or best offer. The first thing I'm going to do is send you a message and say, what's your bottom dollar? And then that person says, well, I want 80 bucks for this. So there you go. That's what I would like to get for it, 80 bucks. That's actually a really good idea, to have your price be a little higher, you know, within reason, as long as you're not being outrageous with your price. If you have it just a little bit higher, then those hagglers will come out and they'll want to haggle with you. In my line of work and in my line of, you know, recreational activity, I dig old school televisions, CRT televisions. They look great if you're trying to do some retro gaming on an old school display. That's the display that you probably want to get. Oftentimes it's a lot of trouble for people to take their Super Nintendo and plug it up to a modern display. It just doesn't look that good. You have to get upscalers and stuff like that if you really want that picture to be as clean as it could possibly be. If you want that image to be nice and crisp, there's other things that you have to do. One super annoying thing is when you get on the Facebook Marketplace and you're looking for an old school TV like that, and the only thing that you see is a picture of the front of the television. It's nice to know what inputs you have on the back. If you take that extra time to just rotate that TV around and take a picture of the back, there's all sorts of different inputs that you can have on the back of a TV like that. You can have an RF connection, which is total garbage at this point in our lives here in 2024. Or you could have composite, which is not that much better, but it's a pretty big improvement. And you can have S-video. S-video is kind of like a rarer input on the back of your television, but some televisions do have those, and it's an amazing jump in quality from composite to S-video. And lastly, some of those televisions have component, YPBPR. It's the extra color stuff that you put into the back of your television. It's really nice to know what is on the back of that TV, especially if you want to use it. You know, it's really hard to determine whether or not you want a television unless you know what you can hook up to it. Make sure that you take lots of photographs of stuff. That's an important thing. If you want this thing sold, take as many photos as you can, because the last thing that you want to do is have your potential buyer be like, I don't want to mess with this if I don't know what I can do with it. And that's a very common problem on the Facebook Marketplace. But at the end of the day, it's a great platform to buy and sell a bunch of really cool stuff. I've sold so much cool stuff. I've actually gotten some good trades in over the years too, and that's another thing, another tip. If you're open to trades, let them know. Say so in the description. Yes, I'm open to trades of this stuff. You'd be surprised what people will be willing to give you in exchange for your item if it's valuable to them. You might find something that's a lot more valuable than the item that you're trying to sell. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. Just be respectful, treat the person how you would want to be treated, and treat it as a business transaction. Does not have to get personal. Treat the other person like a person. Treat this opportunity as a very lucky happenstance, and it is an opportunity, by the way. You are lucky to be able to do this with this person. Haggle respectfully, and keep in mind that the seller is the most important person out of this whole thing. I'd be very curious to know about your stories with the Facebook Marketplace. Any other tips that you might have, throw those down in the comments section below. I'm really interested to get a conversation going about this because, quite frankly, it has frustrated me quite a bit over the years. But at the same time, I've also had a lot of good experiences on the Facebook Marketplace and gotten a lot of cool stuff. Thanks very much for watching this video. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.